Toastmasters around the world know the value of vocal variety. Yet in my 21 years of listening to speeches, rarely have I heard Toastmasters really push the envelope, really use deep vocal variety, whether it's in the vocal variety speech in the basic manual or in other presentations. Tonight I want to share some ideas for how you, in your next vocal variety speech or any speech that you give, can add more vocal variety for the benefit of all. The first tip is to consider telling stories within your speech, or perhaps the entire speech is a story. You see, stories have characters, and as such, every character can have a different voice. You can have a high voice, a low voice, a young voice, an old voice. And the beauty of that is that you don't have to say, he said this, and then she said that. The voices do it all. Consider telling a story. Perhaps a variation of this theme is to make a puppet show out of it. Perhaps you've got finger puppets. Perhaps you've got hand puppets. I often think of Mr. Bill from the old Saturday Night Live. Oh no, I'm about to get swallowed by the paper. Puppet shows are another way to employ more vocal variety. Now, with the holidays upon us, one of the great things you can do in your next speech is to take us back to a favorite Thanksgiving or a favorite Christmas time or holiday scene where you've got multi-generational gatherings at hand. If you think about it, you've got the kids and their voices. You've got your own voices and those of your siblings. Perhaps your parents or your grandparents who might have a tinge of an accent from the old country. If you just give us dialogue and describe what it was like under the tree or at the dinner table, scenes like this are ready-made for vocal variety. Now, another tip is that you can take a trip, or rather take us on a trip. Think about a trip you may have taken overseas and the different accents you may have heard, or simply hanging out in the international terminal of your local airport. Think about all the different voices, the different sounds, the different dialects that one hears. In a situation like that, it's ready-made for vocal variety. Now, if you've ever gone to Hawaii, our own melting pot here in the United States, a story from the Hawaiian Islands of your most recent vacation, chances are is going to be rich in vocal variety. Because think about it, there are Chinese and Japanese and Filipinos and Portuguese, and there are the missionaries and the tourists, and everybody has a different accent. Another alternative is simply to go to the United Nations. Maybe you've been, or maybe you take us on a fictitious trip to the UN. But tell us about the dialects that you've heard. Tell us about the interactions with the different delegates. It's pretty exciting. Now you may be saying, I'm not comfortable making up voices for human beings. Okay, here's a thought. What about the animal kingdom? Perhaps in your next speech you tell us a story about dogs and cats, or tigers and lions, or birds and bees, or perhaps even a parakeet with an attitude, parroting everything that is being said by the rest of us in the office. Think about the opportunities for vocal variety in an environment like that. So again, the animal kingdom, and whether you anthropomorphize, giving human qualities to the animals, or simply make the sounds the animals make, it's a great opportunity for vocal variety. Now, there are many events that you've attended that would make great subjects for your speeches. Think about a networking event where you recently attended, and there were different job seekers, and there was that pushy, boastful salesperson, and then there was that timid, recent graduate, and then the soft talker, just like out of Seinfeld, that person that whispered and perhaps lacked the Toastmaster's confidence. Another scene might be at the flea market, the different people you encountered, the different characters that you interacted with. Something I like to share in story form is backstage or behind the scenes, or for instance when the lights go down at the movie theater. Take us through all the different sounds that you hear in the movie theater, the people kibitzing, the lovers canoodling in the back row, and if you're in my neighborhood, a lot of people talk to the screen. Sometimes that dialogue is better than the dialogue in the film. Take us through what that's like. It's really exciting. Another tip that I find works really well when you're looking for more vocal variety is to give us a compare and contrast. If you like opera, consider teaching us the difference between the three tenors and how to recognize their voices. Or perhaps you take us through the difference between the East Coast rappers and the West Coast rappers. Or take us through the different histrionics of the politicians from different political parties or from different states. A couple of other ideas I have for you. If nothing else, you can certainly do a dramatic reading. You say, what? You don't want to do Shakespeare? No worries. I've actually seen somebody take the phone book, the white pages, thumb through it, pick a random page, and start to take names and numbers and give them a treatment, give them emotion, read it as dramatically as a Shakespearean actor. You too can do this. There's something I'm looking forward to do with a future partner of mine, the colleague Tyree Johnson, past district governor. I've always liked this scene in Pulp Fiction where John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson are discussing the benefits of Amsterdam and the Big Mac, and the Royale with cheese. And so I hope at some point I can come back on TV with him and deliver that. In closing, I simply want to say that if variety is the spice of life, certainly in Toastmasters, vocal variety is going to spice up your presentations. I so look forward to being in your audience the next time you break loose with snoring, speaking, singing, but whatever it is, may it have vocal variety.